Hi guys. So, like I promised, I based on your recommendations as to what you think would benefit you the most in econ, going over FRQs with video explanations. I tried to find some online, some they didn't have them. I'm going to supplement the ones that they don't have online. So here we go. This is FRQ 2010 Form B number 1. So it's the top. So a country's economy is in short-run equilibrium with an output level less than full employment. So for less than full employment, we're operating output. Our real GDP is less than we would be at full employment. So I denote that right here. We're in a recession. Assume an upward sloping aggregate supply curve. Using a correctly labeled graph, aggregate demand and aggregate supply, show the following: full employment output YF. So output is the x-axis, or stop. Price level is the y-axis. Equilibrium real output is YE and PLE respectively. PLE, YE. So our equilibrium, this is where we currently are in our economy. Assume the country's government increases domestic military expenditures. Expenditures is a fancy word for spending. You see spending, economic spidey senses. Oh yeah, aggregate demand. So if we increase aggregate demand, that's AD shifts to the right. Now notice it doesn't necessarily say we get back to full employment. So all you need to do is demonstrate a rightward shift like so. Now you could be at full employment, you could not be. You would, if it doesn't tell you, that's okay. All they're looking for is a rightward shift. So you indicating that, that's sufficient. That's a rightward shift. How does the following affect aggregate demand? Well, aggregate demand, so this is BI. Aggregate demand increases. AD increases. They don't need you to explain what happens, why it increases, but it does. Equilibrium real output and price level, respectively, will both output increase. Output is to the right. Price level increases too. Price level goes up. So both have increased as well. Using a correctly labeled graph of the short-run Phillips curve. Oh, so we're combining graphs. And this is the biggest key and takeaway I would have you do, is to know how the graphs relate to one another. So Phillips curve. Remember the unemployment percentage rate. This looks at inflation rate. Inflation percentage. A recession, so if this is point A, a recession again is to the right of the LRPC representing full employment. And since they say initially that we are below full employment, you do have to demonstrate that with a long-run Phillips curve with an LRAS. Using a correct label, Phillips curve show the increased military expenditures, labeling the initial point A and the new point B. What's the rule? Well, shifts in aggregate demand cause movement along the Phillips curve. In this case, I had us getting back to full employment. So we're back to full employment. And there you go. Assume that the increased military spending is financed through government borrowing. Some key words there. Borrowing. What graph do I want to think about? Especially when it says, what will happen to real interest rate? Well, what graph talks about real interest rate? Oh yeah, loanable funds. So loanable funds, here's my supply of loans, demand of loans. And it doesn't matter where you are, but you're just drawing an X anywhere. There's not really representative full employment within this graph. So using a correct label graph, assume that the increase, what happens is the military spending is financed through government borrowing. What will happen to real interest rate? Well, the demand for loans in order to finance that would increase. Real interest rate increases. Real interest rates being the y-axis. Real interest rates increase. Assume that the economy produces only two goods, military and civilian goods. Using a correct label graph of the PPC, show the effect in increased military spending, labeling C and D. So again, going down, new graph, it's a PPC. On one, we make civilian goods. On the other, we make military goods. Well, where did we start? Well, point A, where are we operating? It's a recession. What does a recession look like at PPC? We're operating within the curve. Well, now that we've increased military spending, in this case, like we demonstrated that we did get to full employment. So I'm going to draw a new equilibrium point, C to D, representing that we're moving, not a shift, we're moving from unemployment to full employment as denoted here. So there you go. That was 2010 Form B. Hope this helps you. Didn't necessarily give you the answers, but they're included in here. So if you were able to understand them, you're following along, you should be able to get this. So again, it's a great FRQ. You have to know 4 key graphs, 4 out of the 6, right? ADAS, Phillips curve, the loanable funds, and the PPC. So understanding how the graphs relate to one another is key. So there you go. Hope it helped. Thank you.